So I don't know how to start videos. I, like most of my videos, decided to record this like 5 minutes ago. I recently sold my rose quartz dress and it's made me a little bit nostalgic for this character. Rose quartz was one of the first major cosplay projects that I took on, and she was really the first character who helped me build my confidence as a cosplayer. I always felt like I had to be perfect, the details had to be accurate, the wig styling had to be great, because I felt like I had to somehow make up for the fact that I was not the same size as the character I was cosplaying. So Rose Quartz was the first plus size character who I cosplayed, and she was also the first character who, like, when I was in costume, I felt I looked like the character, not me dressed as the character. True story. The first time I cosplayed Rose Quartz, it was completely to spite another individual. I dated a pretty toxic person. If you want to hear more about that, I did an entire other video. I'm not gonna bitch about it now, but one of the things that she would do is she would say that she was gonna cosplay a character, and so I had to cosplay another character. And this was back in the earlier seasons of Steven Universe, and she's like, I'm gonna cosplay Rose Quartz, you need to cosplay Greg. I didn't really like Greg. In fact, I greatly disliked Greg. I thought he was the worst dad. I've of course since seen him grown and I have changed opinion, but at the time I did not want to cosplay Greg. She was like, well, you can do like a female version of Greg, and I'm like, you don't understand, I don't want to cosplay Greg. After we broke up, it really hit me that I wasn't gonna let someone else choose who I was gonna be. And it's so silly. I don't want to say it's so silly, but it is kind of silly because it's, you know, it's dressing up as a character. But after that, and then everything else that I went through with this person, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna cosplay Rose Quartz, and I'm gonna cosplay Rose Quartz so good that she does not have any chance of ever being as good of a Rose Quartz as I am. And I did. Usually I'm not super duper competitive, even in competitions. I love learning things. I love sharing what I know with other people. I like lifting people up and helping others enjoy this hobby as much as I do, except for her. So I wanted to just kind of go through the whole process of making this character, because there were a lot of starts and stops. Initially, I was going to make both the dress and then also the sword and then the shield to go with it. That didn't work out. First misstep, my friends, do not ever buy costume satin. Don't do it. I did that. It was a giant mistake. You will see why it is a mistake once we get to that photo. I happened to get really lucky when I was over at Value Village, literally just about to head over to the shoe store to see if I could find tall enough shoes, because I'm 5'4". I came across these like Halloween, I forget what it's called. Anyway, they were like 5-inch heels. And I was like, oh my God, these are super cheap. They're in my shoe size, which I wear a size 12 in women's, so not the easiest to find. I also bought a standard 3-tier petticoat from Amazon and turned that into a 9-tier petticoat. I got a whole bunch of the really thick, itchy, gross tool that you don't actually want against your skin, the kind that was gonna keep its shape, and I just added layers and layers because I wanted it to be poofy. And I did not think at the time that I was gonna use a hoop skirt. Hoop skirt? Is that the right word? Hoop skirt. Yes, it's called a hoop skirt, right? It wouldn't have worked with my final product because the layers were just a lot heavier, but I had lighter layers at the time. My initial plan was to, listen, I was a baby in the woods. I did not know what I was doing. My initial plan was to pin and sew the skirt tiers directly to the petticoat. Don't do that. I had my good friend Ace helping me. He was fantastic. Honestly, super supportive of both the build and the pettiness. We got the bottom tier on. We went to put the middle tier on, and I did not buy enough fabric. So we took like this bus trip over to the store to just get more of this fabric. We couldn't find fabric that was in the exact same shade of pink because I ended up going to 2 different stores. But we did it, and so we pinned it to the petticoat, and then realized that that was a really, really stupid idea, and it was going to be very, very flimsy, and there was no way it was going to work out. So we completely took it off the petticoat, and Ace happened to have this asymmetrical wedding dress. We decided to put it on that instead because it was just nicer, a nicer feel, and we could also get the way the tears fall on her skirt. So we did that. It worked out really well. We got all of the layers pinned to that skirt, and then I ended up hand sewing all of them in. I'd been cosplaying for like 4 years at the time, but I had only ever hand sewed because every sewing machine I touched before died. I wouldn't say it was worth it at this point, just knowing what I know about this process, but at the time I was very, very proud. It took me days. Also did not have a body form, but I did have a tripod. I had a tripod, so I put the skirt on the tripod, but it wasn't tall enough, and so anyway, it was a whole mess. For the wig, I happened to find this pink wig on Amazon that had the same sort of hair bump I was looking for, rather than having like a side part. It was a good shape, but it was not the volume that I wanted. And so I proceeded to buy first one, and then I ended up getting 5 of these super cheap Amazon just pink wigs. Back in the early days of cosplay, it was the only color pink wig you could find, either that one or really bright cotton candy pink. I cut all of them apart completely. Like, I took out all of the tracks, and then I individually hand sewed them into the wig. Everything got real tangled real fast. It was like Rapunzel up in here. Everything was tangled. The volume that I got was gorgeous. I took the extra tracks and I used them to make drill curls. At the time, I had only seen people either do soft, like regular curls, or all drill curls. And taking a look at the way she was drawn in the reference photos, it looked almost like a combination of the two, and so that's what I did. I curled the base wig just like regular curls, and then I inserted the drill curls into strategic places. I had 2 shorter ones and then 4 longer ones, if I remember correctly. The final product ended up looking exactly like I wanted it to. I personally don't really like teasing my wigs, so especially with a character like Rose, where it'll be perfect and then a breeze will blow and I'm like, fuck. And part of that is, of course, I use super, super cheap wigs. So lesson learned. It ended up being super gorgeous because I did larger curls, smaller curls, and then the drill curls. So it was just really, really dynamic, and I loved it. When I was working on the bodice, it was a conundrum. I have a little bit more of a chest, and with it being a strapless dress, I knew I needed the support to keep the dress from sort of not sinking down, but you know, you can tell when you're wearing a strapless dress and you don't have the support that you need. But I also knew that I didn't want to do the patch for the star. I wanted it to actually be like a star cut out. You can see the tummy. It was fun to figure that out. I started with a corset base. I sewed the white bodice on top of the corset base so that way I had that structure that I needed. What I ended up doing with the bodice is I made a wire star frame and built it into the bodice. I had seen people who have done the star cutout, but it didn't hold its shape, and so it was very stretched. Once I got the star cutout, I was stuck at, how am I going to emulate flesh? I tried doing flesh colored fabric. That was just too obviously not the skin. I tried doing fabric that was covered in Mod Podge so that it had a harder texture. That did not work. I tried, this was a stupid idea, honestly, flesh colored fabric, and then there was like, it's like the stuff that you use to make like fake things on your face, like wax. That clearly did not work. I found silicone stomachs on the internet. They're supposed to be like fake pregnancy bellies, so I found the smallest one and I sewed it directly onto the corset. I did not know at the time that you can't just like glue stuff to silicone. It doesn't work like that. I took the gem that I had put together and I glued a Velcro patch on the back of the gem and then sewed the other half of that patch onto the belly. So the gem was Velcro, and I had a really good time just like ripping it off. I did not find this out until after the fact. I debuted Rose Quartz at a convention, and there was another gal who was cosplaying like an armor version of Rose Quartz. I did not know at the time that she was really upset about my cosplay. She was like, people's weight isn't a cosplay, and she's just very upset that I had a fake stomach on, despite the fact that I was a plus size person. I understand why it would upset some people, but again, I was like, it's not. I have my thoughts. When I ended up finally doing the hoop skirt underneath it, the layers that I had created for the tiers, the pink tiers, really stretched in a way that I didn't like. I thought about doing some cinching, kind of like Beauty and the Beast style with her skirt to create the whoop. It wasn't what I wanted, and with the costume satin, it looked really cheap and shiny. On a absolute whim, I went to Joann's. I found 3 different shades of pink cotton. I bought 4 yards, 5 yards, and 6 yards. 4 yards of the lighter pink, 5 of the medium, 6 of the darker pink. And then I cut it in half, so it was really 6 yards, 8 yards, and 10 yards? 6 yards, no. 8 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards. So can't math. I completely replaced that with the lighter pink, so that way it would be sort of ruffled.
Yeah, give me a second though. I gotta get a good point. There we go.
Are you ready for this?
Are y'all ready for this? The prettiest spin. It's so pretty. Just the movement is really nice.
How does it look when I walk, like in the back?
It drags a little bit, but that's fine. The back looks pretty good.
As long as it's like...
Yeah, there's...
Hers in the back. Dragged on the ground a little bit.
Yeah, and there's this little gap right here where you can see the pink.
I'll just...
You can look at it in the video in a second.
I'll safety pin it.
Yeah, probably. You'll have somebody else safety pin it though. Oh Jesus. You're ridiculous. And adorable.
I ended up wearing her for a competition. Jessica Negri judged that competition, and I ended up getting 3rd place in the Western category. I was very excited and proud. After that, I put her away for a little while, and then I did a few upgrades. My original hoop skirt was a 3-tier, more A-line hoop skirt. I ended up getting a 6-tier more bell-shaped hoop skirt so that it was wider. And then I upgraded to a pair of 6-inch heels versus the 5-inch ones that I had initially gotten. These 6-inch heels were a size 10, and again, I am a size 12, and they were so painful, but listen, it looks so good. It hurt a lot. I wore Rose one more time the year after to that same convention, and that's really the last time that I wore her. Like I said, I've done a lot of AU versions. I've done beach, I've done steampunk, and I've done Mer Rose. My partner did Pirate Pearl, and I love them a lot. We looked real cute together. And I have plans for a Beastmaster Rose Quartz because I saw this really nice pink for Joann's, and I was like, that would be great for a cloak. Anyway, so that's kind of the journey that went into this character. I love her so much. I'll probably end up remaking her at one point, and I think with just what I know now, I could build a better version, a more me-built version, make my own corset. Yeah, I love this character a lot, and I don't really have a way to end this video other than saying thank you for watching. I know, bang. I'm moving soon, so hopefully I'll be able to have like an actual setup. I'm not like a YouTuber. I just sometimes like to talk to my camera for a little while. So, thanks. You don't have to subscribe. I'm not going to tell you to click that button. But if you want to, that'd be nice. Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye.